What's up, horror community? I'm Stock, and in today's video, this one's going to be really different because I'm going to be talking about Stranger Things, and I know that is not a full-on horror, but it's got a lot of aspects in my mind. I feel like there is a lot of glimpses of horror within Stranger Things, not only from the visuals, but just by the vibe of the show and all of that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I just love this show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Saw it for the first time last year in 2022. It's been out since 2016. I've always seen the hype about it, but I finally checked it out last year, and like I said, I absolutely loved it. So in this video, I'm going to be ranking my top 5 favorite Stranger Things characters, and that is hard to do. That is very hard to do because it is a stacked list of characters. I feel like this show brings something very unique because every character they make you care about. For the most part, I could say that about every single character they bring in the show from any of the seasons. All of them have like the certain attachment you can have to them. So I feel like everyone's list could be very different, but I'm going to talk about my top 5 and where I stand currently. It hasn't changed since I finished the show. This has been my top 5 since I finished it last year. So let's get into it. Here goes number 5. Ranking in at number 5 is Murray Bauman, and they introduced this character in season 2, and he starts off as like this smaller character in the second season. I liked what he did in season 2, but it didn't like grab my attention until it was like season 3, where he became a bigger character and a bigger role. And that's where he really kind of shined out to me as that comedic relief that Stranger Things brought. And I feel like his character had that the most out of any other characters in the show. So I really like that. I just really like his arc of becoming a bigger character. I like how he starts off in season 2 as that smaller character, and then he becomes literally part of the group in the 3rd season. And you don't expect that. They go to him for help in season 3, and he kind of just attaches into the group, and he ends off helping them so much. And then that goes even into season 4, where he is a main staple of the group now. He's like part of the family. He is the other half of the people who go and try to save Hopper and in Russia. And it's just, I love his arc, so that's the main thing. So yeah, what makes him so personally high for me on my list, that makes him number 5, is such a big reason of how this character from season 2 had this big arc, and it made me feel so much for him, and it just took me off guard. It was unexpected, and I love that stuff. I love when a show could shock me and make me care about this character that I didn't think I was going to care about that much. And it did that. It did that so much. There was such a big shift between season 2 and season 3 for me as a fan, and then especially in season 4, seeing where he was at there and how high tier he was for me then. But yeah, like that is like a big reason why he's in my top 5. But it's also, like I said, his comedic moments, his memorable moments, his entertainment, what he brings to the show in the dark moments. Like, he's just such a unique piece of the puzzle for Stranger Things, in my opinion. And he's underrated too, I feel like. a lot of people don't have him high tier where he deserves to be, because Murray is fantastic. He was such a great addition to the group that nobody expected. And I'll highlight some of the things I love about him so much is, like in season 3, with his chemistry with Alexi. Like, I thought their little friendship there, them talking to each other, and like, it was great. And then his reaction to Alexi's death was great. And then him in 4, like seeing him from the first time he interacted with Hopper and they didn't really care about each other, to him in 4 literally traveling to Russia to save Hopper's life, like alongside Joyce. Like, he took that risk and went with her where she didn't have anyone to go with. It's just great. Like, those are just a couple things I'm highlighting, but Murray's fantastic. I wonder if anybody else has him in a top 5, because I think he's underrated. And that's another reason why he's high tier for me, because people that are underrated and I love, that's a sweet spot for me. But yes, number 5 is Murray. Ranking in at number 4 is Billy Hargrove, and I love this character. I think he's the best villain in Stranger Things, and I've always had such a sweet spot for him. There's just a huge love and appreciation I have for him. He almost was my number 3 slot. he's almost there so many times, but my number 3 slot keeps edging him out. I'll get to that character once I get to 3. But yes, he is my number 4. Speaking about characters I feel like you're not supposed to care about that much, he's also one of them, because in season 2, he's in a bigger role than Murray was in season 2, don't get me wrong, but he's also like kind of a background character in 2, but they set him up very nicely. In 2, he's kind of just like the bully. He kind of helps out with like Harrington's arc and stuff like that, because he's being the bully in 2 and being just a big issue on the side, but nothing major. But that really sets him up in 3, where he becomes the biggest villain in the show in season 3 and the biggest trouble that they have to go through. The way he was a threat in season 3 and like the mind flare taking over his body, like he is like, to describe him in season 3, like he was badass as all hell. Like he reminded me of a horror villain, of just a massive horror icon in a lot of ways. He reminded me of that. Like he had a lot of the pieces of the puzzle that makes a horror icon. He kind of had that in season 3 of Stranger Things. His visuals and what he did to the group and to people he was tormenting was just great. Like it was just so good. So many horror vibes. I feel like he's one of the people that bring the horror vibes the most to that show. Him in 3 being taken over by the mind flare, fantastic stuff. I also think his character arc was very, very good too, from the second one, and what they do with him there as the bully, Max's older brother. But he's also has this, they hint into, of this troubled past with his parents, because he was being yelled at by his dad in season 2 and he had like a tear going down his face, so you know there's trauma there, but they lightly touched on it in season 2. In 3, you saw the whole thing. You saw his flashbacks, you saw his story with his mom leaving him and all of these crazy things, and you see that other side of this evil character that you kind of feel for him a little bit. I've seen a lot of different takes from people that, like, some people are like, oh no, he's not redeemed for me, I still hate this guy, screw him. But I personally feel for him, because I see that background, I'm like, damn, that's what makes this guy so rotten and so evil to a lot of people. This is what drove him, and I love that they made me feel some sympathy for this very evil, crappy, mean character in Stranger Things, especially in the second season going into 3. They leave it off with such an awesome moment to end off the Billy character in season 3, and he fights the mind flare, the monster in 3, and he saves Eleven's life in season 3. He sacrifices himself, and that whole moment was like excellent, so well done. That's where they execute the whole flashback of him and his mom, and it's a very emotional scene, and he has tears in his eyes, and I felt that scene so much. Like, I thought that scene was incredibly well done. I can't talk about it enough, but that very much summed up his story arc from the second season when they introduced him. And that's just like I just said about Murray, like that's something I didn't expect when I first saw this character. Hell, when I saw him throughout the whole thing in season 2, I didn't expect to feel that at the end of season 3. I was crazy. I didn't expect it at all. I think in a lot of ways he has the best death in Stranger Things, because he's a character where you see this full-on arc, more than just a season, 2 full seasons, has his ties with one of the other main characters of Max, being her older brother, seeing his traumatized past and all the actions he did in Stranger Things, and his final act, like I talked about, the sacrifice. Hard to say that's not the best death in Stranger Things. It really is. It's hard to argue. In my opinion, it is the best death, but there's other ones that make me feel more in certain ways. It's tough, but I think if you're going to talk about it critically, that Billy's death is the best in Stranger Things for sure. But yeah, this guy's great. I almost want him in my top 3. He's right there, but for now he's still number 4. I could say a lot about him in specific things, but he was just great. Like that's what I could say. He was just one of the most horror feeling characters I felt when I was watching Stranger Things. And obviously I'm a big horror guy, obviously. And just all his stuff, the way he killed people, the music that they play, the way he was physically on the screen, and just the way he tormented people. Horror vibes everywhere, so that's massive points for me. But yes, he is my number 4. Ranking in at number 3 is 11, who is the main character in Stranger Things, but she's my third on my list. Not my first, but she's still in my top 3. I still gotta credit her massively because she is one of my favorite characters in this franchise. She's my number 3, and I have to say, the amount of emotion this character made me feel is incredible. It's probably one of the most a character has made me feel. Her performance and everything around that character and the vibe you feel from her from when she's introduced in season 1 is, I don't know the word to say it. For now, I think I will say unique. There's a charm to it. There's a special feeling to that character for sure. And I felt that since season 1. And it's something I can't say about another character that I felt before. It's just very special. When you watch this character, it is super special. She also has such an amazing character arc from throughout the seasons of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Also amazing growth, some of the best growth in the show. I don't think it is the best, but it is up there for sure. And her bonds with characters, like she has such great bonds with characters that make you feel so much, especially like her and Mike is up there. And then for me personally, her connections and her chemistry with Hopper is my favorite stuff in the show, and that is from season 2 specifically. For me, from season 2, the two stuff they have together, their chemistry on the screen, the amount of emotion they made me feel is something I could never forget. And it is a giant reason why the show is so high tier for me, and why the show is something I will always recommend to people. Something I can't forget is just that, and she was a massive piece of that puzzle. She's one half of the reason of why I say that. She is also a very strong main character, a very rootable main character, which is always a key thing to have when you're a main hero. You gotta have that. She's very rootable for sure, and she's also super badass. Like when the moments are right, she has that super badass side of her, but she also has that very emotional, relatable side of her. And then she also has a very troubled past from when she was little. And all that stuff mixed together just makes such a likable hero, such a likable main character. This character is my number 3. I always like watching her story, her arc, and watching that character lead this show, lead the group that you see in this, the group that you root for. Love seeing her at the front of that and being the hero. Such a great character, such a big reason of why Stranger Things is such a success. But she's not my favorite. She's my number 3. Let's keep going. Let's go to number 2. Ranking in at number 2. In my opinion, this character has the best character growth, character development in the entire show. And that is my number 2, Steve Harrington. Before I go any further, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Steve Harrington, I'm about to hit you with the barn burner of a character, because your character is a barn burner. First things first, like I said, the best character development in the entire show. And to sum it up quickly, you go from season 1, the beginning of season 1, of hating this guy. He's one of the biggest jerks in the show. You don't want to cheer for him at all. And then you look at season 4, the newest season, and he is probably the most rootable hero in that season. So those little words right there explain to you on such an arc this character has. So yeah, just the impressive arc of this character makes me care about him so much, which is making him my number 2 on my list. And it's just such an incredible story. And just from the first season of him being that bully, and then even at the end of season 1, the ending of season 1, I'm already rooting for this guy. And it is crazy because the beginning of season 1, I'm not at all. And then literally in the last episode of season 1, I'm already like, whoa, this guy was awesome for this moment. I'm already starting to cheer for him a bit. And then in season 2, that grows more. Season 3, that grows more. And then season 4 is even more. And it's incredible to see the arc of this character and how much you get behind him. A lot of reoccurring elements to Stranger Things characters, I say, but I gotta say for him too, he has a specific charm to him for sure that make you care about this character so much. I love also his chemistry with characters too. Love his connection with him and Nancy and their story throughout the entire show from 1 to 4 as well, seasons 1 to 4. Incredible arc, incredible chemistry. And then my favorite of him is him with Dustin, which is his friendship with him, and they start that friendship in season 2. And I think that is a big reason to why the Steve character changed so much, was finding that friendship and being friends with someone so much younger than him and helping him, and them going through the monster issues together, and just his influence, Dustin's like positive, friendly influence on Steve really shines through it from season 2, which I love so much. Some of my favorite stuff in the show. Season 3, he's my favorite part of the entire show. That's when he's the Scoops Ahoy Steve, and he is super goofy, which I love. Like his comedy and his goofiness works so well, but then he also, in serious moments, he can get the job done. Even though he's goofy, he has like badass moments, but at the same time, he's still goofy in the badass moments. But they're so good, like they're so great, it works so well. He also, like so many Stranger Things, brings out so much emotion out of me too, but I feel like he's one of the most for me personally, and it's just his emotional conversations that he has with characters. Like there's like so many that he has them with Dustin, with Nancy, with Robin. He has such emotional scenes and moments for me that are like some of the strongest in the whole show, and it's because that character is so strong and has so much layers to him. But yeah, Scoops Ahoy Steve is, in my opinion, the highlight of Stranger Things season 3, and that is such a stacked season with such a stacked group of characters, but I don't think anybody touches him in season 3. You really feel his full-on goofy change of character arc. Like if you have a picture of season 1 Steve and season 3 Steve, like those pictures alone could probably show you the difference in that character, because in 3 you really see how much he has changed. I love every second of it. And then you have him in season 4 where he is that established good guy now. Like you're not even shocked that he's on the good side of the team. Like you just accepted it. He is part of the crew. It is the normal in season 4, and he's almost like a leader. Like has granted himself to be a leader. Yes, in previous seasons he's the babysitter and he leads the pack of kids, but he doesn't have that leader role until I say season 4. Like that shines through, and once again he's incredibly strong as a character in that season 4. Not a dull moment with him. Even early in season 1 when he was the bully, he still has some of the best scenes in the entire show. I love this character. He's so freaking great. I think he's one of the best characters I've ever seen in a show. He's up there as one of my favorites ever, if I count all shows. Hard to beat this guy. If he dies in season 5, I'll be very upset. I almost felt like that he should have been the one to die in season 4 instead of Eddie. I feel like that would have been so emotional for like Dustin to see that. I think that would have hit so much harder. Like people might kill me for that because I know people love Eddie, but I could just imagine of how much that would hit. Like, oh my God, that would rip my heart out. That'd be so upsetting, but I would love it because I love feeling that emotion out of a character. And I'm not saying that I want him to die because I don't like him, because obviously he's great. He's my number 2, but the potential there. But yes, Steve Harrington, he is a GOAT. He is my number 2 on my list. Now here we go. Ranking in on this stacked show of characters, this insanely stacked show of characters, probably one of the most ever, but ranking in at my number 1 is Jim Hopper. I'm gonna hit it twice for this video because he earned it. He definitely earned it. Here we go, cooking it up. Jim Hopper from Stranger Things. I'm about to hit you with the barn burner of a character, because your character is a barn burner. I love this character. He is my clear number 1. He's been my number 1 since I finished the show. Nothing has changed. As much as I like Steve Harrington as my number 2, there's definitely a little gap between the two. Jim Hopper is my favorite for sure. And it's cool because in season 1, he wasn't my favorite. But since season 2 is when it all changed. That's when he became my favorite for sure. And to go back on what I was saying earlier on Elle, with the chemistry of her and Hopper together, Same goes for this side of things. And Hopper's connection that he has with Eleven is super, super special. So special, so emotional, and it just brings a certain feel and charm to every scene they're both in together and what they share together with their bond, with their chemistry. And it is my favorite stuff, I think, in all of Stranger Things, is the chemistry between those two. So that is the biggest reason why Hopper's so high on my list. He's also so high for me because he is just badass as all hell, super comedic and funny at the same time, and has super serious and emotional moments at the same. So he has everything at the highest level, and that's impressive, and that's amazing to see a character have so many elements to them that all work so well and are so strong in each category. I can't forget also the arc of this character. His character arc throughout the show is also so top tier. I feel like I'm saying that so much, but Stranger Things is such an excellent show that it makes sense of why I'm saying this. But yeah, like, he's almost like a different character every season, which is amazing, and it works so well. The most similar he is seasons 1 and 2, but they're still different in ways. In 1, he is just the, I'm gonna go through it briefly. In season 1, he is just the chief. He has his troubled backstory of losing his daughter, and he is hurt from that, doesn't have much emotion to him, doesn't have much feel to him, but he's there to help. He's still trying to help crack the case of season 1. And then in 2 is when him and Elle have that bond, and you see that layer open. You see him become happy again. You see that character change a lot in season 2, and that's my favorite version of him. Such an awesome version of him. And then in 3, he kind of loses his mind. He's going nuts for where the story was at the time. It was great. It was perfect. He's losing his mind. He's going nuts. Also, he always has a different look to him too, which adds to it, which is so good. And then in season 4, he is a depressed mess because he is locked up in Russia, and he's lost so much weight. He's skinny. He looks like a completely different person who's just serious and wants to get the hell out of there. That's quickly summing up how much of an awesome character this is, and how much range this character brings, and how different he is in each season, just based off his looks alone. Like, he's such a different character. I'm so curious to see what happens with him in season 5. I'm just all over the place with this character because he is my favorite, but I'm gonna name some stuff also from season 2 that I love. Is 1 second him and Elle could have this giant argument that I'm eating up every second of it, and then they could have this emotional, sad, super sad, forgiving scene of them both in the car together, making up after the big fight and the separation they had for a few days. Amazing. Then they have like an ending shot of season 2 of where they're closing the gate together, and they're just saving what the world was going against at that moment in season 2 together. Oh man, it's just excellent. That's just season 2 stuff. Like, I'm all over the place with Hopper because there's just an endless amount of things I could say about him. I'm gonna highlight another big thing about him, and I want to see what people think about this. I feel like his death in season 3 was still super sad, even though he was still alive in 4. It still is that when I watch that scene, Hopper's letter, all that kind of stuff, it's still so sad, so emotional, some of the saddest stuff in the show still. But I think if they kept him dead in season 3 and he never came back after that, that would have been the best death in Stranger Things by miles would have been the best death. And that would have hit so hard to see that group go on without him in 4, and how they can fight against everything without Hopper there. Seeing Elle actually never get him back, and you kind of ripped away from that. Like, the amount of stuff that would make you feel if he actually stayed dead. It's endless there. Like, the opportunities are endless there with how you would feel. Like, that would have been crazy. I wonder if anyone agrees with me to see if that would happen, if that would have been better than what they have now. Either way, I love what they have with him because it still makes me feel a crap ton. I just think if they kept him dead, that would have hit like a ton of bricks. But yes, this character feels so real and has so much depth to him and so much of a strong backstory, like all the Stranger characters have. But he has just such an awesome one that sticks with me, that it just resonates with me the most, and is my favorite character in Stranger Things. No one beats Jim Hopper for me. He is the king of Stranger Things, and he is my #1 for life. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was different. I talked about Stranger Things. I really want to see how you guys feel about this. I know it's not a full-on horror. This is my first time talking about it, not full-on horror, but there is still so many elements of horror with Stranger Things, so I feel like it works. Also, like I said, it's one of my biggest loves of all time, and I know a lot of people love it too. So I would love to see people's responses and just see how they feel about Stranger Things and me talking about it in general. I'm so excited for the future of Horror 31st. I always am. I always love making videos and getting to talk about things I'm so passionate about and love so much. And also, this is kind of going back a little bit, but one of my newest videos from just a few weeks ago, I ranked the Ghostface killers, and for me, that video is coming up on 2,000 views, and for me personally, that is amazing. Like, that is so awesome, and that has really set into me on so many levels of like, damn, like people actually care, like, you know, people actually care about what I'm talking about, and that was just super special for me. And that video has gotten such awesome responses, and people have like subscribed to me from it, like the most I've ever seen, most viewed video I've ever posted, and just seeing people care about it. I can't thank you guys enough for checking it out, giving responses, watching a whole 20-something minute video of me talking. Like, it's incredible. It's awesome. I know it's, in the grand scheme, it's only like almost 2,000. Like, so many people are like, oh, you know, I got this many views, but for me personally, 2,000, seeing that number, it's like I said, super special, and I can't thank you guys enough. I'm super excited for the new Scream movie. I can't wait to talk about that, but that's for another video. Today we talked about Stranger Things. It was different, it was fun, and I want to see how you guys feel about that. But guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Horror 31st. Ow! Also, guys, I just wanted to show my Stranger Things collection from way less than a year ago from when I started this, but I already have all this stuff that I collected over the past, since last August. So this is all the stuff I got since then.